we talked about looks last week, and I know sometimes it can really make people feel a certain way, but you know, at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, we judge people based off how they look. And I do think there's some part of that that is wise, right? You do have to have the wisdom and discernment to judge people based off of what they're signaling, and to also discern whether or not you're being tricked or bamboozled or whatever word you want to use with it. So, you know, there's a girl who's been going viral. Her name is Talia. And I really think she's just trolling the internet over this whole I'm a pretty girl thing she's doing. If you don't know, I'll show it to you. And I just think it's so important for us to recognize it. But it's interesting that her stating that she's pretty has triggered people into wanting to humble her. And though I think there's something there that makes sense, I feel that instinct when people are mean to somebody or go after how someone looks in a particular mean way, almost want to humble them. But again, we don't want to humble people because that's not wise. We want to offer people humility. But I really just think she's trolling the internet. But you tell me what you think. So here's, I think this is the video that everyone got mad at. I think. I could be wrong, but from all of the research I did, I believe this is the video that made people upset.
Makes going out in public so fucking intimidating. And guys make it being pretty makes going out in public so fucking intimidating. And guys make it so obvious too. Like, I hear you. Like, I literally hear what you're whispering to your friends, and I see you all fucking staring at me. And then also, like, this guy literally tried to, like, walk into me to, like, get my, I'm like, oh my fucking God. And this is not even to be like, oh my God, I'm just so beautiful. But it really is true. Like, going in public, being a pretty girl, you know you're being looked at. And it's intimidating. Like, I don't know. I also didn't grow up looking like this. And so being seen, like, all eyes on me like this gives me so much fucking anxiety. And honestly, what I think it actually is that makes it all worse is now that I have a social media following, I hear people being like, oh, I follow her on Instagram, or like people will come up to me, which is so much fucking better. Please, if you see me in person, please just come say hi to me, because when I can tell that you recognize me and you're talking about me or you're saying things and I can hear you, it gives me so much anxiety. But
just for the record, she's like really young. I found another one of her TikToks that says like, here's what I'm doing for my 21st birthday. So she's a young person.
But I love when people come up to me. That does not make me nervous. It's knowing that I'm being like heard or seen, but like them not coming up to me, that makes me fucking nervous. But this is just something I'm learning and working on. But oh my gosh, I went to the mall today for the first time in so long, and I'm not gonna lie, I never want to do it again, and I never want to go in public again by myself, because I don't know, I need to get used to just like being seen and being looked at and being like whispered about, but it's not normal. So I don't know. It just, my heart rate is fucking at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Anyways, to the people who do come up and say hi, thank you, because first of all, you're all like normal girls my age. You're all so fucking pretty and cool, and it just like puts me at ease. And also then I like feel like I have a friend there. Like, I don't know. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. Like, my hard work, like these followers are actually real fucking people my age who get me. So thank you. It's the coolest thing ever. And every single time I'm like, holy shit, like that was so cool. But anyways, love you guys. Follow for more. And if you can relate, let me know, because being pretty and being seen is not for the fucking weak. Mwah.
Okay, so, okay. Now, the comment sections says, honestly, I'm a male and I'm aware it's delusional, but this is how I feel sometimes. I avoid couples so I don't steal the girl. I feel like I'm vibrating powerful waves of attraction magnetism. I don't know if that's a joke. This person says, I'm not trying to be mean, but I have like 160K followers and I've never been recognized in the street, and I've never even considered that would happen. In fact, I forget I even have a following, since it seems like nothing I don't know. I'll just say this, as a small-time content creator, I've been recognized so many places, restaurants, cities, clubs. So, you know, sometimes you think you have a small following and nobody will recognize you. But if you're in the right area, like, people will notice you, even if it's just one person. So I don't think that's that abnormal. But I will say, like, she obviously, to me, feels like she's coming out here just like, you know, making a TikTok statement because she wants to be sort of like popular. Now, I have other videos to show you to make this clear. Here's this one. Look at this one, okay?
Other people because you don't have any bodies. Actually, I am. Like, what do you mean? You're not any...
Her volume was really low in the beginning, but it says, you're not better because you don't have fewer bodies. And she goes, what do you mean? I literally am.
Healthier because you eat good and work out and go to the gym. Yeah. You know how stupid that sounds? That's how stupid you sound when you say, body count doesn't matter as a girl. Yeah, it does, because it matters to respect your body. It's not just about the number, it's about what that number means and says about you. Do not give your body away, girls. What the fuck are you doing? Do you understand that that's not helping you, it's only hurting you? It helps the men. Honestly, it doesn't help them either, but it's way worse for you than it is for them. So stop, get your shit together. Stop playing around with the creation of human life that we have the gift to fucking create. Stop being a loser. Do better. Short video today. Love you, bye. Come join our
She's so silly.
community of girls.
You know what I mean? Like, she's obviously, look, she's got a chick. I think she's trolling, or she was raised in a really conservative household. Apparently her parents are millionaires. Apparently she was wearing the Star of David on her other posts. So I assume maybe they're Jewish. I don't know. But she comes from like an affluent family, and, you know, like it feels like a troll to me, but it could also just be like conservative girly with too much gold star reassurance from her folks, right? Okay, so here is a TikTok in response that Talia responded to after, but this is Fitted Proof.
Much at the ripe age of 21. Talia Breyer is crashing out on the internet because she's paid so much money and has gone through so much at the ripe age of 21. And she realizes that maybe it is not enough. And maybe she can't buy her way into hotness, prettiness, gorgeousness. She also accompanied that with, I got a nose job. I am on Ozempic. I've lost the weight. Those are, in my opinion, hallmarks of like an extremely insecure person, which makes sense because she's literally 21 years old. But she thinks that she can buy her way in to being the beauty standard, that she can buy her way in. And a lot of people can, but I would venture to say that most of them have a lot more money than she does. She's not Kylie Jenner. She's not Belle Hadid. That's not the league that she's playing in. Can you imagine how you would feel if for your entire childhood you felt like there were these things wrong with you? Maybe people were making fun of you for these traits that you ostensibly can't change about yourself. And then once you're 21, by the way, she strikes me as the kind of person who goes to school with the kind of girls I went to school with who were getting nose jobs for their sweet 16s. So she's 5 years behind, which I'm sure, makes her feel bad. And so she was made to wait 5 years to get her nose job to make sure that.
I just want to pause it here. And I want to say that, and again, when we talk about looks, I think we just need to understand that if we're playing the game of looks, if we're playing the game of I'm pretty, if we're playing the game of I'm going to get plastic surgery and do Ozempic to look a certain way, then I feel like the conversation about what she looks like is fair. I would say she's a pretty girl. I would say I agree with Fitted Proof that she's not, Kylie Jenner, and she's not, some girls get plastic surgery and they look literally so beautiful. Like some people get plastic surgery and I was like, this was the right choice. Some people get it. I'm like, okay, you're still cute. And I feel like I would be one of those people. That's why I always tell you, even though everyone always says I should get my nose done, I guarantee you if I get my nose done, it's not going to make me look that much prettier. It's just not. And if it could, it would be worth it maybe. Because, maybe it would just benefit me in all ways, because whether we like it or not, it would. And maybe, I would love to look prettier because I would love to feel pretty, and I do feel pretty, but I don't walk around literally thinking I'm a 10, because I don't think of it that way. It also doesn't hurt my feelings to not think that I'm a 10, because I know when I look at a person and I think, oh my God, you are literally so beautiful. And it has nothing to do with me being less. I think the problem is that the reason the girls who go on the whatever podcast have to sit there and say they're 10s is because they know, one, those men are going to disrespect them no matter what. But two, I think people do have a lot of their identity tied to these numbers, which I don't, which is why I like talking about what people look like, because I've already deconstructed my tie to the bubble. It makes it more fun now just to talk about it instead of personally impacting my character. My partner and I openly have these conversations, who's we'll look at people and I'll say they're so much prettier than I am. And if again, it's not because I'm not less because I'm not pretty. I am pretty, but I don't think I'm less of a person. But if you already buy into the idea that people are less because they're not pretty, then you can't have this conversation and not play into that stereotype. Do you know what I'm saying? Or that expectation. So you have to have this conversation in a very specific way for it to make sense. I think Talia is trolling. I think she did a lot of work to herself, and that's fine. But I think it probably did make people approach her, right? But here's the thing. I think that the issue is not that she thinks she's pretty. I think the issue is that she's trolling. Because if she just thought she was pretty, which I think most of us like hopefully think we're pretty, like whatever gender you are, like I think we should all think we're pretty. Coming out making content about how pretty you are, she's doing it in a way that is just like not cute. And you know it. And if you don't know it, then you don't know you're being trolled. Because she is literally trying to make us mad. Like she even the way she's talking is to upset people. So it feels like weird when I saw some girls like saying, oh, you wouldn't be mad at her, or you're only mad at her because she thinks she's pretty. But like, I also think I'm pretty, and no one ever gets mad at me for saying it. And I think it's because the way I'm saying it is like reasonable. You know what I mean? So yeah, so chat said, were the two videos by the same person? This is Talia. You can see her in the red. This is Talia. This is her original video. This person, Fitted Proof, is reacting to Talia, and then we're going to watch Talia react to Fitted Proof. That's why I showed you this. Okay, so let's finish this video. Remember, her audio is just like a little bit lower, so I'll mute myself while she's talking so you can hear her.
She really wanted it. Now she has it. And now she's on Ozempic, which, you know, a lot of people are taking for legitimate health reasons based on the way she talks about it. I doubt that she's taking it for legitimate health reasons. And I think she feels entitled to being treated like she's beautiful because she paid to be beautiful. And I think she's realizing now that maybe the return on investment isn't going to be as high as she thought. And I can see how if you've invested not only all of this money, but also this energy and this self-consciousness into being certain these aesthetic improvements are also going to improve your life, then you find out that the internet thinks you're chopped, then like I can see how that would lead one to crash out on the internet. To me, it's just unfortunate because that age, you don't have the perspective to understand what makes someone attractive. The beauty standard.
I'm going to pause again. I think the mistake we're making is talking to Talia like she isn't trolling. And if she isn't trolling, then I don't even know what this is, what kind of content this is. She's, you know what I'm saying? Because like Fitted is trying to approach Talia with some sort of seriousness that I don't think Talia has earned. Because again, young people, one, aren't responsible in being serious on the internet. And two, if they want to be taken seriously, then they must act also seriously. And I think the dilemma is like, I don't expect young people to do that because they're still learning about themselves and they're figuring it out and they're testing the water. So like, you have fun, kids. But also, if we're going to lecture Talia, we first have to even establish like her perspective. And I don't even know what it is given the way she talks about stuff. So she uses these buzzwords of like, this is for the girls. This is like, you have to be strong in who you are. But even the tonality she's using is so fake that I'm like, why are we even having this conversation in a serious way? Okay, back to Fitted.
Standard at this point in 2025 is kind of irrelevant to me. I mean, and it's just such a symptom of this, I think, pick me mentality, because she's like, okay, now I've done the thing, so let's go. Where's the line of people? And
I'm not sure what version of pick me would apply to Talia so far. I mean, so far, I have not seen her exhibiting pick me behavior in the traditional sense. So I'm not actually sure why she used that word here. Maybe I'm missing some terminology differences here, but Talia's statements don't feel male-centered at all. It feels egotistical, maybe even narcissistic, but mostly it feels trolling, right? So I'm not really sure why she used that word there. Okay, Fitted.
You know, she's saying that the people in her life also aren't reacting appropriately to her enhancements, and I think that also says a lot. Anyway, Talia Breyer is crashing out on the internet.
Okay, now let's go to Talia reacting to Fitted.
About me saying I'm not pretty and I'll never be pretty enough. So this grown woman made a hate video about me saying I'm not pretty and I'll never be pretty enough. She said that I never will be.
Okay, first of all, that's not even what she said, which is why, once again, it feels like a troll. Because we just watched the video and she literally didn't say that at any point.
And if I even wanted to try,
Let's
this
rewind
grown
it.
woman made a hate video about me saying I'm not pretty and I'll never be pretty enough. She said that I never will be.
Well, she never said you won't be pretty enough. She said you won't be model worthy, Kylie Jenner model worthy, which is probably true. It would be because at some point you are just at the mercy of like your genetic makeup. Like with Peace and Love, no matter how much Khloe Kardashian got done, she just looks different than everybody else. And Chloe's beautiful, but she's not going to look like Kylie or Kendall. And Kendall's the official model, by the way, but like, she's not going to look like Kendall, because at some point, all of us are at the mercy of our genetics and the way we showed up in the world. So surgery can only do so much, right? So that was the original video, saying like, you can never get enough done to be at that level. But when you walk around saying you're at that level, it is a form of what the internet feels like is a delusion. So just to translate for everybody.
And if I even wanted to try, I should have started 5 years earlier with my nose job and spent more.
She didn't say that either. She was just saying most of the girls who have gained capital on being pretty started 5 years earlier. And since you waited 5 years later, the way you built capital through being pretty is just a different experience.
Money on procedures and surgeries. She said that I'm on my medication for all the wrong reasons and that it'll never fulfill me or make me happy. She's projecting that she doesn't believe I'm pretty or ever could be. But I already believe I'm pretty. I'm already fulfilled with my looks. And I hope this woman can believe she's beautiful, and I hope all you girls can. But you don't get to decide what someone thinks about themselves. And I know that I am pretty, and no one could ever take that from me. Confidence truly does come from within, and no matter what anyone says, they can't take that away from you. So do the inner work to love yourself, because it is the best investment you could ever make. I love you girls. Love yourselves. Mwah. So this girl...
It feels very like scripty and performative. I don't believe in any way that she's not just doing this for clout and fame, but I would say that she also either has no educational background to understand what the original TikToker posted as well. Like, the TikToker is talking about like a larger commentary on beauty standards. She's not even really talking about Talia. Like, we're using Talia to have the conversation, but we're not really even talking about Talia, right? And it's because the way that she presents and the way she's showing up, that we're almost objectifying her as sort of a piece of media to dissect. And so I think that's the dilemma. Is like, how can I even have a serious conversation about Talia if Talia isn't serious about Talia? You know, okay, so the next video, this is from another content creator named Saron Things, okay?
It's intimidating. Like, I don't know, I also didn't grow up looking like this, and so being seen, like, all eyes on me like this, gives me so much fucking anxiety. I know I'm pretty. You would think that you, like, lose all this weight and, like, glow up and that, like, people say things to you. No. Like, thank God that I fucking love myself and I'm constantly hyping myself up. But if I didn't and I was just going based off, like, what I heard from people, I would literally think I'm fucking ugly, because no one wants to say anything nice because they're so fucking jealous. I got a nose job and hair extensions and lost weight and started posting on social media, and people, mostly guys, trying to gaslight me and be like, you're not pretty, you're chopped. Bitch, you literally cannot tell me that I'm not objectively pretty. I fit the beauty standard. That is just a fucking...
Talia, girl, we're not buying yet, okay? You're a little cutie pie when your mouth is closed. Okay, if I looked at you, I'd say, oh, that's a cute girl. And I don't want you to lose sight of that in this. Anyone who says you're chopped is lying, okay? They're just trying to get a rise out of you. And I need you to hold on to that, okay? Because you also are not living in reality. You cry that people in your real life aren't acknowledging your glow up and telling you how beautiful you are. And the internet people are now telling you you're chopped. And you're not getting your props from them either. I am a confident lady, okay? I'm confident in my appearance, but there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, and you just seem unpleasant, okay? And no one wants to compliment an unpleasant person. It's gauche, and it's clear you don't actually have that much confidence, babe. You wouldn't be coming to the internet seeking such validation from us, trying to convince the world that you believe that you are a supermodel if you actually felt that way. Like, thou doth protest a bit too much.
I will say that, yeah, she's unpleasant. I agree with that assessment but that's part of I think the trolling persona in a sense. And if it's not, then like, she would be so difficult to be around. Like, I don't think I've ever met a person like Talia in real life. Not really. Like, usually it's a character, right? So even like, I couldn't even imagine, I mean, the worst people on the planet I've ever met aren't like her. So then I have to assume it is a character, right? Because look at this video now. She's at a hairstylist in Japan. She's getting her hair done. And she's talking to the hairstylist about her virality.
When I go in public, people look at me because I'm pretty. And everybody got mad. Exactly, because they don't like when you say you're pretty. Because they say that you're cocky. So now, everybody on the internet is fighting. Everybody's making videos about their opinion. Yeah.
Very interesting.
So now I'm getting famous. People are fighting about me. They think that I'm rage baiting. It's like making people mad on purpose. Yeah. I'm just funny. It's a joke. Take me too serious. And they get mad. Yeah. They say that I have a big forehead.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
They're mean.
Good.
They bully me online. Really?
So
It's big.
No problem.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Hair looks so good.
Yeah? Okay?
They're gonna be nice to me now. They won't bully me because they'll say I have good hair. Oh, thanks to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Good.
You're amazing.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna tell everybody to come here.
My name is Hiro.
And what's the name of this salon?
Salon is Liberta Tokyo. Please come here.
Come here. He's the best. Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Before, disgusting. After.
Very
Beautiful, clean. 2 weeks ago, I made a video.
I mean, you know, her hair looks good, but for sure. So again, I feel like what she's doing is she's utilizing the rage to sort of go viral, to have these opportunities. Her parents are wealthy, according to her, so she's not like she needs the money. And her headline is spreading delusional confidence, right? That's her thing. Okay. And then, okay, this one.
Have you guys seen that girl who thinks she's pretty? She's honestly the ugliest motherfucker I've ever seen. Like, she looks like fucking Nicolas Cage. Ew, what the fuck she's
My
that?
daughter
That's her dad.
looks like Nicolas Cage.
Apparently, that's what everybody's saying, that I'm an ugly fucking bitch. Yeah.
I'm a little too biased to say how pretty you are or aren't. You're super pretty.
Thanks.
But Nicolas Cage?
An old random man. Like, what?
The person who's been in a movie with everyone in Hollywood?
Yeah,
Nicolas
sorry
Cage?
that I'm famous.
Nicolas Cage.
Have you guys seen that?
Like, obviously, her whole family thinks the internet's like this funny little place, which, to be fair, I think my family's a little similar. When they hear about stuff that happens on the internet, they just do not think it's real. They're like, uh-huh. And I'm like, they're like, oh, hey, do you know this YouTuber? And I was like, oh yeah, we had some beef a while back. They'll be like, oh, damn. But like, it's not real to them. Like, they think anything that happens on the internet is like not real. And that can be a little like, difficult because it is real life. It's my job. But yet some part of it is kind of funny. So I think it's difficult because her family probably is like in on the humor of it all. So then she's just coming to the internet trolling. So I do think she's trolling, and I think it's working. And I think ultimately, like, people are taking her too seriously. With Peace and Love, I wasn't even going to cover this story, but people slid into my Instagram DMs. They're like, Brittany, please cover Talia. And I was like, okay, but like, girl, there's nothing to this story. She's a young person trolling the internet. If she thinks she's pretty, who fucking cares? If you want to tear her apart for thinking she's pretty, sure. But like, young people are gonna young. What will be interesting to see is who's Talia in 10 years. Now, if she's still this person in 10 years, you know what I mean? But I just don't think there's much more to the story. But now I want to watch this person with you. Okay. This is Queer Polly Babe. You've probably seen her. She's all over my For You page. Okay. And she is just the sweetest bean, but she also is, you know, obviously trying to get popular. She's following a shtick. She's very consistent with her content. And with Peace and Love, my girl looks like she was homeschooled her whole life, which is why the top comment on this video is so funny. She says, can we talk about the bangs when you're ready? And she goes, yeah, we can talk about them now. And it's like, yeah, girl, with Peace and Love, you're so cute. Can we talk about your bangs? Like, with Peace and Love, can we talk about your hair? Like, with Peace and Love, she looks like all my friends in homeschooling. And so, like, she's open to it and she's receptive to it, which I love, because I think as people, again, volunteering is maybe inappropriate, but when people want help, I think the best thing we could always do is show up and help each other groom better and style better. Because I do think, once again, it's not talking about how people look. It's talking about, do people look the way they want to? And so this video is called I'm Not Hot Woman. I'm not a hot woman. I'm average. Let's watch it.
That's a hot woman. And I want to talk, I am not a hot woman. And I want to talk about some of my lived experiences that have shown for me that this is the truth. I'm making this video because I got this comment the other day, and I thought it was very—
What did it say? Attractiveness shapes your dating reality. The arguments are like a Lamborghini telling a Prius that the car wash made a difference. This is an interesting comment, and I'm going to, this is in the way, I can't read it, but I assume make a video on it.
interesting, and I've been pondering on it. And I know that what he is saying has a kernel of truth to it, but it also hasn't been my lived experience for most of my life. I will acknowledge that there's two things about me that make it so that I'm not auto-rejected immediately based off of my looks by a lot of people, and that is my skin color and the fact that I'm thin. But outside of that, I am not considered a super hot woman to the majority of people. That doesn't mean that people don't find me pretty. That doesn't mean that there aren't people that find me super attractive, but in terms of societal beauty standards.
Oh, I just want to comment on that really fast. Talia also said that she is the standard of beauty. I don't know how to comment on that, to be honest with you, because I come from California. If I judge Talia on California standards, I would say she was like maybe a 5 or a 6. Like, she's not much prettier than me, California standard wise. Like, I know people don't think so, but I actually think because my body's pretty fire and I'm older, but yet I have like a little bit of like a different energy. So it depends on what you're into. But like, I think I have more social standing in a weird way. Even though I'm unique looking and less conventional, I think that also works in my favor. Like, it all balances out. Like, your body and your face balance out. Your body and your hair balance out. Like, all of those things together is what makes somebody attractive. Like, people think it's just your face or just your body or just your hair. It's everything. How you style, what clothes you're wearing. Like, obviously, dressed today, I would not think to compare us because I'm not dressed up like that. But if you see like some of my more baddie photos on Instagram, that lends me some credibility in terms of the attractive bubble, in terms of like what is attractive. Depending, again, it's so dependent. But like, she isn't like an 8 or a 9 or a 10, but hell, neither am I. But she's, you know what I mean? So she might think in her head she is, but in terms of California standard, absolutely not. But to be fair, this girl here, Queer Poly Babe, she is also not that much different. She's maybe like a 4 or 5, maybe a 4 or 5. So it's not even that much of a difference. Do you know what I'm saying? It's really when you're averagey, you're not dealing with a much of a difference. It's when you get to like 8, 9, 10 that we're dealing with, or a 1, 2, 3. That's when we're dealing with like, oh shit. But specifically the 8, 9, 10s. When you're dealing in 8, 9, 10s, it's just a completely different world. No matter the gender, you're just in a completely different bubble, right? When you're averagey though, we're all kind of playing in the same bubble. Like, we're probably all dating similar people and or have access to each other's dating partners.
Standards, I am very much average. And I want to talk about the experiences in my life that have led me to understand this. And let me just say before I start this off, that even what you're seeing here, a lot of it is fake. This is a fake hairpiece. My bangs are fake. I have a big forehead. My hair is thinning because I just turned 30. I'm using minoxidil, but I'm still waiting to see results on that. This hair is real, but this hair is fake. And then even with this hair, I put my hair in rollers like every morning because my hair is just naturally very flat. On top of that, I'm wearing makeup. On top of that, I have a filter. This is a video of me without a filter. Now I will end this with some of the positive things because
she looks prettier here. Isn't that funny? I think she literally looks prettier here without the filter than over here.
And then even with this hair, I put my...
This, okay, because here's the problem. When you try and you don't pull it off, you look worse. Then if you're not trying, then you look better.
Hair in rollers like every morning because my hair is just naturally very flat. On top of that, I'm wearing makeup. On top of that, I have a filter. This is a video of me without a filter. Now I will end this with some...
And then here she looks better because she's not trying. Even her bangs look better. Like, her outfit also looks better, to be fair. I think maybe that particular shirt and maybe it doesn't quite work as well compared to this one. She looks very pretty in this.
The positive things, because there are some really positive things. And even without it, I'm showing you a video in very good lighting. When the lighting is worse, I actually look a lot worse. I have green veins under my eyes that are...
Yeah, so that's always interesting too. Now, chat says being pretty is exhausting. I will be honest with you. Being pretty is not exhausting to me anymore. But there was a state in my life where it was. Now, being pretty feels much more like feeling pretty to me is personally combined with like showing up, dressing my age, feeling put together, feeling good. Like, I feel very pretty today, but I'm not wearing any foundation or anything because I am working on my skincare right now and I'm not exposing it to any makeup on the skin. So like, I am feeling really good about it though. Like, I'm already seeing changes. I'm already seeing like spots going away. I've already invested. So for me personally, I just feel like good about feeling pretty, but I think like, you have to decide your relationship with pretty. What is your relationship with pretty? Is it about meeting other people's expectations, or is it about meeting your own, or is it maybe somewhere in the middle? I would say realistically, it's always somewhere in the middle. In a sense, it depends on where and how I'm feeling pretty. If I'm just at home, the standard of beauty and pretty feels like first myself and then my partner. If I'm engaging at work, it's first myself, then the audience. If I'm engaging in public, it's myself and then the community, right? But like, even feeling pretty is a relationship. It's a relationship with yourself and sometimes with others. It's just dependent on who's even existing in or around that quote standard, right? Let's see. Chat says, I think feeling pretty for others can feel more tiring. Feeling pretty for yourself feels as if it's filling my cup. Yeah, definitely, right? Like, it just depends on the relationship you're having with it. This is completely dependent on you. But I think one of the parts of deconstructing the patriarchy that I see happen is people deconstruct enough to reject makeup and doing their hair and dressing up because they don't want to feel attractive to a man. But then at the same time, they let themselves go and then they feel bad about themselves because they don't like who they see in the mirror. And for me, it's always a balance between, yes, letting go of needing to appeal to men, but also realizing that I still want to look in the mirror and feel good about myself, like truly good about myself. Like, on purpose, yes, this is what I want to look like. This is what I choose to look like. This is how I wanted to dress. This is how I wanted to vibe. Like, everything was picked out for me versus letting yourself go because you figure, why even try? Something like that, right? Okay, back to the video.
Really hard to hide even with concealer. And even with all of that, I still look pretty average. The first reason I know this is because the majority of people that I found super hot, I've either been directly rejected or I've been the back burner option. And some people can say, well, it's because of your personality. But for a lot of these people, it was just based off of first impressions. They were very laissez-faire about me from the start. I've also noticed with many of these people, they wouldn't overlook certain things about me that they would overlook for other people that they've dated in the past. This one guy that I had an FWB relationship with, he didn't like my job, but then he ended up later dating a woman who was really, really hot, who had the same job as me. I've had chances with some very hot people, but I've just noticed that they tend to hold me to a much higher standard than people that they find like super, super hot. And the very conventionally attractive people who have dated me, it's been mostly because my personality has made the deal, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I understand people.
Again, when we are reductive with the way connection is made, we're reducing people down to their looks, which I think is wrong. I think it's important, but I don't think it's what and why people end up with people unless they are actively engaging in some shallow behavior. All the friends with benefits I've ever had were friends that I liked them as people. I've never had a friends with benefit that I didn't also just like as a person. So, you know, obviously when I like you as a person, you're going to be more attractive to me, even if in some way you're not. Like, I don't really care about those things. And I do believe that. I don't really believe that, like, I think everyone is beautiful and everyone is attractive. And yet I still believe you can compare like who is generally more attractive in ways. And plus you can't say that you're not, because I really think we can't talk about privilege and not, this is why this is layered, macro, micro. Okay. You can't talk about pretty privilege and then discount the fact that people aren't considered pretty. And then you might be able to say like, oh, well, they would be pretty in a different world. Yes. But they don't live in that world. So like they live in this one. So either you can move somewhere where your capital is higher, or you can move your capital higher where you live. But I think, again, like, people are just people at the end of the day, but there are safe ways to have this conversation, right? And so I think there's just something to that I think like gets missed sort of. But I think like, again, it's kind of like, again, I think this goes back to like, if my friend came up to me and said like, is there a better way for me to do my makeup? Yes, it would literally make you prettier. Like, no matter the style you're in, even if you're, you know, I don't know, like conventional versus goth, you can be pretty goth or ugly goth. Which one do you want to be? Pretty conventional, ugly conventional. Like, it's like, what do you want to do? It's like, instead of being conservative and saying like goth is never attractive, you can be hot goth or ugly goth. Which one do you want to be? Okay. And then we have to understand that like also status and power and things. That's why Marilyn Manson was considered hot for so many years, which is ridiculous because he's obviously not an attractive person and he's obviously a bad person. But what made him hot was his status, the way he showed up, his confidence. Like, girls ate that up. To this day, girls think Marilyn Manson is attractive. Like, with peace and love, that man, okay. But then you have like a Kat Von D who is, I think, just obviously very attractive, or Adita Fonteese who's obviously very attractive, and yet these women, they take incredible care of themselves, okay? They're very focused on their skincare, very focused on their hair. They're very focused on the way they show up. They're very specific with their styles, and they're beautiful. And I think like, you know, again, there's always a conversation to be had about like, well, what is the predisposition of their facial structures, their genetics? And that's where the pretty privilege comes in. Because again, you can't have, you know what I mean? So like, there's so many things at play here that I think we just have to pay attention to, you know, right? Let's see. Chet says this is a good point. Maybe the goal of your appearance does coincide with your joy and your appearance to allow functionality within your bubble and to stay clean and healthy, of course. Definitely. Well, it's layered. It can't be one or the other. Again, I follow so many Black women, and Black women in corporate especially. They make so much content about like being an unattractive, not standard person in corporate changes your dynamics. And if we don't pay attention to those things, I just think it's such a big lie that we tell ourselves as a cope to feel good about ourselves. But what I've learned from them the most is like, they still find a way to be successful, but it's just not in the way that utilizes their looks like other people. But it's not just because of like, I mean, it is heavily because of white supremacy, of course, but it is also because they, no matter how much surgery they get, will never be the standard. So they can't just Talia themselves out of white supremacy, right? And so like there's like conversations at hand here that I think are so important. And I just think it's discounting people's lived experience to say like, well, I think you're pretty. So, okay, girl, thank you. What does that have to do with anything? Are you paying my bills? Are you helping me at my job? Are you there for the interviews? You know what I mean? It's like, you're not there for it. So, you know what I mean? Like, you're not helping people. You're not even, if your kid came to you and said, hey, like, my job says I'm not coming presentable to work. It's your job as the adult to see why that is. Is your kid actually not looking presentable? Or is there some racial component or some sexist component? But the truth is a lot of us don't look the way we think we look, especially in America. Guys, after moving to Europe, let me just tell you this right now. Americans sloppy. With peace and love, we look like we're wearing PJs. Now I get it. I love a PJ look, don't get me wrong. But now I'm getting it. I'm kind of getting that like, Americans kind of do look like, and no judgment, but also like, I kind of get it. I do kind of get it. Okay. But again, you get to decide how that plays into, you know, expectations, I suppose. Right. Let's see. Chet says, yeah, you wild every time you talk about this topic. I think I've come to realize that it's just your opinion, which cool, different than radical acceptance of one's appearance. Are you saying that I don't have radical acceptance of appearance? Are you saying, because I'm saying you have to have radical acceptance of the way that you look, and because it's both. You don't get to do one or the other. You get to do both. I accept the way that I look and I love it. I have radical acceptance, and I know that I feel different when my hair is done, even if nobody sees it. I know I feel different when I'm eating well. I know I feel different, blah, 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 right? Or the world moves around you in a particular way. You know, show up looking Sunday best at least, right? So when we have these conversations, how can you tell me we're deconstructing beauty standards if you're not coming to the realization that beauty has to matter because we're animals on a planet? Every biological animal seems to have a beauty component in their biological evolutionary process. I don't know why we're discounting it if we're biological creatures, unless you don't think you're an animal. Because if you are an animal, then beauty has to play a role. Because it seems like there does seem to be that, you know, in all of these bubbles, right? So there's something to be said here about like this desire to deconstruct patriarchy and beauty standards, but you're not deconstructing your biological experience to radically accept that you are an animal. And then therefore what you look like matters. Because like it has to, because it's all about survival, community, consistency. Like we don't live solitary. We are community social creatures. And so therefore it matters, right? Let's see, Chet says, to be honest, I feel uncomfortable sometimes with these conversations because I'm so tired of beauty standards, but I know it's more of a me problem / trauma. And you're right that we should be able to talk about this. And you're so right though, that we might not be ready to talk about it. It's so okay for you to be at a stage where you're exhausted because like, it's going to be exhausting. You know what I mean? It's an exhausting process thinking about a lot of things. I think I'm also at the other side of it where I'm just excited and inspired and stoked. And, I was talking to my friends and I about like some of our goals this year, and we're all like trying to get abs. And I was like, girl, I'm going to try my hardest, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Who fucking cares? But also let's fucking actually try. Because if we don't actually try, well, it's definitely not going to happen. But if we try every possible way in a healthy way to like get that ab look for even a second and we don't get it, who fucking cares? At least we tried, right? So we had a lot of excitement about like body goals this year. And then it's not even to maintain it, by the way. It's just to get it and then like probably let it go. You know what I mean? Like we don't even care. But it was fun talking to my friends and they're like, do you want me to send progress photos? Are you comfortable? And we checked in with each other. I said, oh my God, yeah, let's send progress photos. And that's like another layer of like inspiration. Be like, like, how are you doing? Where are you at? You know what I mean? And again, it's not because we think abs are prettier. It's just about setting a goal and having fun, trying to like get it and be like, oh my God, I had abs at one point in my life and then I didn't anymore. Right? Stuff like that. Right? Let's see. This conversation helps me feel less crazy. LOL, I wear wigs and my natural and I get treated different. I feel different. I want to talk about this without being a giant thing. Exactly. So you have the lived experience. That's what I'm saying. I have the lived experience. People treat you different. This is like when girls are fat and then they get skinny and they go, you treated me different when I was fat. And people go, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. But you did. You treat people different when they're fat. And that's the point, is like you are discounting all of our lived experiences when you say like, it shouldn't matter what you look like, but it does. We are literally impacted. And I'm not saying, figuring out why it does is not the same thing as giving in to. It's saying, hey, this is real. This really happened. How do I understand that this is going to happen and have it work in my favor and not at the expense of my joy? Hey, this is my real experience that happened to me. You know what I mean? But also, like, guys, again, if I was here giving it to beauty standards, would I not have gotten my nose done? I'm telling you right now, as a girly that was told her whole life, is told in videos every day, get a nose job done. I haven't, right? Not because, and by the way, it's just as upsetting to me for people to tell me not to get it done. People telling me not to get a nose job is just as annoying as people telling me to get it done. Stop telling me what to do with my body. I will decide. But this conversation about what my nose looks like is real. People treat me different. People treat me different. Whether you like it or not, you're also treating me different. Because you are saying I'm not allowed to feel a way about my nose. But I don't feel that way about my nose, right? I feel that way about the world and how it understands that nose and how I feel inside versus outside. Because again, I feel like it's perfect for who I am as a person. But it took me a long time to realize that, right? And that's the point. That's the point. And also, again, I'm allowed to get plastic surgery if I want to. Chad says, I love these convos. I think everything is interconnected to our experience of existence and has influence on it to a different degree. So breaking down how they interact and express, so I love breaking down how they interact. Exactly, 100%. That's it. That's what I love doing. That's deconstruction to me. It's how do they work? What works? What doesn't work? What's good? What isn't good? Like that's the best part of deconstruction. Is like what works and what doesn't. Some beauty standards work. Showing up groomed, not having smelly breath, brushing your teeth, taking a shower. Those are standards that work. They're good. People should do them. You know what I mean? Like, washing your hair, making sure there's not gunk in between your toes, making sure you don't have dick cheese going on. Let's go to the doctor. You know what I mean? Yeah, those standards are really good standards. You know what I mean? And those are beauty standards. So again, like some work, some don't work. Okay. Let's see. Chet says, you might having radical acceptance just breaks down calling people ones and twos and tens. This still patriarchy that sets that. No, animals don't. They do it for some survival, but not the way you say. Maybe you know more than I do. Maybe you have a degree in biology or whatever. But like from my understanding of the documentaries I've seen and how things work, when we use the ideas of 1 through 10, we understand they're subjective to the culture, right? We also understand they're subjective to like how we perceive things. It's not offensive to say you're a 1 or a 2. There's only something offensive to it if you think beauty matters. But since I don't think beauty matters, I don't care if you're a 1 or a 2. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's not an insulting thing to me to be called a 4 or a 5. I just think it's fine. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That's where, yeah, that makes sense. Because I don't put but you are saying, but as long as you stay offended at the 1 through 5, I think you are saying beauty matters. Because you're saying, I don't want to be anything lower than a certain number. And I'm saying it doesn't matter if you're lower than a certain number. What matters is that people understand it. You know, one time a girl came to me and she said, oh, I really believe in the like 1 through 10 scale. And she goes, here's this girl, like she's a 10, right? And I looked at her and I said, this girl is beautiful, but I would put her more like at a 7 or like a 6 maybe, or like a 8 maybe. Like, you know, like she's beautiful, but also what is the standard we're looking at? The standard is if I put you in a room against other people, where would you rank? That's how I think of 1 through 10. If I put you in a room full of people, who would naturally be like, yo, this person is fucking pretty, bro? And like, what would be the general consensus? And yes, obviously that is influenced from the world around us. And yet we can do it all the same. You ever do it with your friends and family? Don't you ever look at people and be like, yo, smash or pass, or like 1 out of 10. And then you see how we all differently look at people and like, oh, you think I think she's a this. Oh, he's a this. Oh, I think he's a this. But then you say, okay, but in a room, put him in a room, put him in a room. You know, what do you think? It's kind of like the same thing of saying like, if people were colors, what shade of purple is everybody? Well, obviously some people are darker or lighter. It's like you're unable to say that I can't do that. And that's just weird to me. Like, can you not do that? But then I'm like, maybe your brain can't do it, but that's okay. But like, yeah, maybe your brain doesn't do it. But I'm saying, oh, that's weird. Can you not tell which car is prettier than other cars? Like, can you tell what horse is not prettier than other horses? Like, maybe your brain doesn't see that. Like, when I look at a cup, I can notice a beautiful cup versus an ugly cup. Do you not know what a beautiful cup looks like? And that's all I'm saying. Like, it's strange to me that people can't do that, but maybe that's because my brain works that way and yours doesn't. Because it's so obvious to me. Like, what about concrete? You ever see beautiful concrete? And you're like, oh, this concrete's ugly, but this concrete is beautiful. Stones, rocks. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know, right? There's just something to that, right? Chet says it does become subjective at a certain point, right? Yeah, guys, I don't believe in objectivity. I don't think we see objective. Because we're operating through a faulty system, right? So like 1 through 10 is subjective. And yet I think like you create a criteria to rate it on. And based off that criteria, you would say this or that. Like when a critic critiques a movie or a film, let's say there's a standard and this is like the good standard and the bad standard, but it's a subjective standard. So the 1 through 10 scale is a subjective standard based off of the expectation of the bubble. That's why it's real, but it's also subjective. All constructs are. That's what we're judging on. What about when I judge people for being a good Christian and a bad Christian? Right? Like people say, Brittany, you can't judge people on their Christianity. Yes, I can. It's your standard. You told me what a good Christian is and you're only doing 20% of it. You're a bad Christian. They're like, you can't judge me on that. I just did. You laid down the rules. You told me the standard. You're the one failing the standard. Bad Christian. That's what I think of 1 through 10 as. And that's it. Okay, you know the little puffer fish we watch when we do the levels, are you through 1 through 5 on the Discord events? The little puffer fish who spends all his time making this beautiful thing to get a mate. The mates judge, do we like the way you did this? Yes or no? Girl, that's just how it is. Okay, now, again, deconstruction forces you to acknowledge you are a biological animal on a planet, which means our relationships are subjective to our relationship with our biological experience, but it's a real experience, right? Jess said, when I lost weight, I was overwhelmed with the attention I got. I was walking around like emojis. What is this? What are you doing? Exactly. Chess said, acknowledging the categories isn't inherently negative unless you assume that being part of a certain category are inherently negative. Exactly. Chad says we have to acknowledge the differences before we can dismantle 100%, you know? Let's see. I'm going to scroll up because I feel like I missed something. Chad says peacock for a mate, but if patriarchy says be a 10 to survive within white European standard and you can't, it's messed up. We can deconstruct, be clean and healthy, sure. It's messed up that people are treated different when we're fat. It's messed up. Let me see. Am I missing something? We fight for justice against these standards. This is why I'm saying every time I have this conversation and we have a little back and forth, you're not understanding me. I'm trying to get you to understand we're not having that conversation. That is so 101, girl. We know. I feel like, is this not the advanced class yet? We know. If this, and the standard was never to be a 10 to survive, by the way. That is not true and has never been true. The standard of survival has never been be a 10. Most people are not 10s. But we know the standard of like European standard or who cares? This is safe space to have the actual conversation about aesthetic and looks, right? Like, and again, maybe this week we'll cover that too when we go back to the basics. But today is not the basics. Today was more of an advanced class, but don't worry. Starting tomorrow, we'll go back down to the basics of aesthetics and looks and all that stuff. But okay, we'll go back to that. But obviously in this conversation here, okay, Jess is judging things aesthetically. Sure, judging people aesthetically, okay, but not to apply to their character, but attractiveness. My ace brain goes, well, again, it depends. How you dress can be a sign of your character. We know this. And I don't know how people are acting like we don't know this. Because we know we signal, right? It's just what you're mad about, what you're fighting against naturally is the standard that was set for us from our conservative parents, and you're annoyed by it, right? Okay. But are not conservatives weaponizing the way they look to signal white supremacy and everyone is ignoring it because that's just fashion? No, it's not just fashion. It says something. The way you look says something. It doesn't always mean what it thinks it says. Okay, right? But like conservatives have weaponized the way you look against you, and you don't want that to happen, right? Me neither. But that doesn't mean there's not a reason for that. It doesn't mean that conservatives were intuitively, biologically, understanding that socially we signal through aesthetic, which is why when they created that hierarchy, it was meant to push you out. But we also need to create our own hierarchies to be aware of who we're hanging out with, or we will naturally ignore it. Okay? Like, and again, this goes back to any kind of judgment we have. It has to have the discernment and the wisdom, not just judgment to condemn or feel good about yourself. We're not trying to feel good about ourselves by judging others. We're trying to keep ourselves safe, and we're trying to signal the right thing to each other, right? Okay, let's finish Queer Poly Babe's video because again, she is calling herself average. She is allowed to have this conversation. Don't take away her agency and not let her say like, yeah, I'm an average person. This is my lived experience, right?
And we all know those people who might have very bad character traits, might be egotistical, might be emotionally unavailable, but because they are so attractive and people feel so much of a magnetic lust towards them, they overlook all of those qualities. I know that I am not super hot because I am not somebody who people overlook bad character traits for. In the past, when I've had bad character traits, a lot of people would just drop me. The next reason is because of social media. It is just the truth that social media will tell you where you rank. I've gotten many, many butterface comments. I've gotten many 5-head comments. That's why I have this hairpiece right now. Back before I lost 20 pounds, I'd have guys comment and say that they would only me if they were at a bar and it was 3 a.m. and they had gotten drunk already. I know that if I made a TikTok saying, hey guys, I'm so pretty.
But also, what's the other crutch of like the being pretty, right? If you're really, really pretty, like you're still you're at a different kind of disadvantage. Now chat says, Britt, I think it went away. Never mind. Okay, so like there was, that's the problem is like, which way are we having this conversation? That's really important. You really have to know in which way are we having this conversation. Chat says, Britt, have you seen the video Being Pretty Won't Save You from Patriarchy? I think it relates. I haven't seen it yet, but automatically when I saw it, I put it on my save to watch later. When I saw that, I really thought like exactly. So be pretty for you because it's not going to save you from patriarchy. That I don't know if that's the point of the video, but it's very true. Being pretty isn't enough under patriarchy. But let me tell you this, I'm not going to be ugly because of patriarchy either. Okay? I'm neither going to be ugly or pretty because of patriarchy. Do you know what I'm saying? But also, and this goes back to the commentary about like yellow teeth versus black skin, which every time I say it, just like, you know what I'm saying? It's like the insinuation that like black communities only groom to appear to white standards. Like, are you listening to yourself? The white standard of never using a washcloth? That white standard? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the insinuation. It's as if you're saying only white people get to groom, or only white people get to be pretty, or only white people get to be tens. Hello? Like, that's not the goal. The goal is to say tens exist in all cultures around the world, and it looks a very particular way, and the standards do change via culture. And yet we know if we all put everybody in a room, all types of ethnicities and backgrounds and body types, I think will be 10s. I genuinely believe that. I think if you took the whole population and decided who was 10s and who was 1s, all variations of body types and skin colors and genders and stuff would be everywhere. It would not just be white people at the top, you fucking racist. And it certainly wouldn't be brown people at the bottom, you fucking racist. It would be a mix. But it's thinking. It's you thinking that I think 1 through 10 means only white people will be at the top that tells me like that's the racism that I'm saying. Deconstruct that. Because obviously not. Obviously not.
There would be a smorgasbord of comments telling me I'm mid. And sure, there are a bunch of haters and stuff like that, but if you are a very, very conventionally attractive woman, those haters are going to be drowned out by all the women agreeing with you. The next reason I know, and I think this really cemented it for me, I'm bi, and so I dated a woman who very much fit conventional beauty standards. She was a lot of people's ideal physical type, both men's and women's. And dating her was a very humbling experience for me because it really showed me just the pure hierarchy of things and how people actually treat you when you are a super hot woman. Basically, everywhere we went, she got hit on multiple times and I would get ignored. People would trip over themselves to talk to her. The other thing was it didn't really...
Yeah, but also like, ew. That's the disadvantage of being pretty. The disadvantage of being pretty is that everybody keeps hitting on you and wants to talk to you.
matter what she wore. Like something that happens with me often is that I really don't get approached unless I actually dress up and put a lot of effort into my appearance. And I remember one time, it was actually my birthday, and I dressed up all nice and I was so excited to go out with her because she had decided this time to actually just wear like jeans and a t-shirt. She wasn't wearing makeup. She wasn't done up. And for months...
And also, until we deconstruct patriarchy and make it so the men have to approach and the women don't, we don't even know what this means. Like, this also needs to be deconstructed, the idea of approaching. When I learned men also wanted to be approached, I just started approaching people of all genders. When I was younger, when I learned patriarchy was the reason men approach, I was like, fuck that, I'm going to start approaching. So I changed the social dynamic. I de-gendered approaching the moment I had an opportunity to since I was young. And that made me obviously more successful in my interactions with people because I was also doing the approaching, which was really nice for people, right? Of all genders, of all genders. And so that's also a point that needs to be deconstructed. Because again, if you're only deciding if you're pretty based off who approaches you, you should deconstruct that need to be approached and start approaching yourself.
Before that, we had just went out and she was always getting hit on. And so this time I was so happy because I had found this really cute outfit and I was just feeling myself so much. And then we were at this karaoke bar and I went to the bathroom real quick. When I came out of the bathroom, this guy was literally just sitting next to her asking for her number. And nobody complimented me or asked for my number that entire night. Not that I wanted them to, but you get the point. And it was that moment I realized, oh, she is hot enough that it doesn't matter what she wears. Unfortunately, if we go out together,
And some people are like that. Some people are so beautiful that it doesn't matter what they look like out of bed, they are gorgeous. And I love that for them. And I think that's okay. I am not less because I'm not one of those people, but I will tell you, there's also nothing wrong with recognizing that. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with recognizing it, but also I don't think it's that many people. And that's the point too. It's it's not very many people who can just wake up in the morning and look you know what I mean?
Will always outshine me. Always. And it wasn't her fault.
Oh, see, I don't believe in this narrative. Outshining me? You're not outshining me, girl. Oh, see, this is what I'm saying. You're not better than me. We are the same. You are prettier than me, but it also doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be with somebody who only cared about looks, but I would be with somebody who cared about looks. My partner and I said this to each other the other day. We said, hands down, with peace and love, I am hornier for you when you groom and do your hair specifically hair, only hair. I was straight out the barber, I never want to have sex with you more. And he said, honestly, when you do your hair, it's gore. I'm like, thank you. Yes. For us, it's when our hair is styled, something happens to us and we're like, okay, you know what I mean? I'm telling you, whether you like it or not, that is just the truth. And for us, and we loved that conversation because we were laughing about it. And I was like, it's true. I just feel like my body just gets, you know what I mean? And that is talk about a biological experience. Now, somebody might say that's a European beauty standard. But again, I'm sorry, is doing your hair only for white people? Is going to the barber only for white people? What does that mean? Because that's what you're saying. You know what I mean? It's not that we don't have or are not intimate when we both have not gone to the hairstylist or something, or our hair is not done. It's to say that, yeah, I get a little bit more, when you know what I'm saying? Okay, I'm a visual kind of girly. Okay.
was just a naturally beautiful woman, and that's okay. But I do think for me living in this state of delusion and pretending like these beauty standards don't exist and pretending like it isn't just the truth that she is a lot hotter than I am and that I am indeed average, it's doing myself a disservice.
Also, hotter is different too than pretty or cute. Like, not everyone's hot and not everyone's cute, but people fall into different categories. It depends on which category you want to fall into too. Some people purposely just want to look cute. Some people purposely want to look hot. I personally am never going for the hot or sexy aesthetic. Like, that's not the aesthetic I find myself attracted to. I'm always trying to go for like alternative beauty, but also like, you know what I mean? Like, I never sit there and really think about Brittany being hot. Brittany being like, hot in the gay way, yes. Like, queer way, yes. But different, because queer communities also suffer from a lot of body stuff. And so you have to think about that too. Like, that's why I say, don't like judge yourself on how you look by your conservative mother's standards. Fuck her. You know, ask yourself, is this the aesthetic I want? Do I look cute today? The same reason, like, you know how girls wear those cute Lolita dresses, you know? If you want to go for cute Lolita and it's like, go for it. But there are women who are like, that's disgusting. I hate anime. I hate anything that's Lolita. And not Lolita like Lolita, but like Lolita like the fashion. And they're like, that's weird. I don't like that. I'm not here to judge you. If you look cute, you look cute. If that's what you're going for, I support it. Okay? If you're going for half naked, be half naked. If you're going for whatever, go for it. But, you know, make sure the inside matches the outside as much as possible. Right?
And the last reason I know this, and this is going to be an unfortunate reality, but I'm just being honest. It is true that my dating life is a lot better at 30 than it was at 21 or 25, but I do think that's because a lot of people settle. And when I say settle, not...
My dating life is better at 30. Well, my dating life's always been good, but I would say that like I'm much prettier as I've gotten older than when I was younger. But I don't think people are settling. I bet she looks better. I bet she doesn't think about how much she learned to dress herself or groom herself or look different. She also doesn't look like a kid. Like, trust me, these men that are into young women, like, they're just disgusting. I'm telling you right now, if you look like a child and somebody is into you, you know what I mean? Like, when you're an adult dating other adults, it's more like how you're put together, how you show up, you know, are you reliable? Do you know what I mean? Look, the way you look is like related to finances. You know, it's like, are your finances together? I'm so wet for you right now. Are your aesthetics together? I'm so wet for you right now. Either way, I'll get wet. Okay, you have money in your Roth and a 401k. I'm fucking juicing up over here. Okay, girls, you came straight out the barber. You look fresh. You look good. I'm so wet for you right now. Okay, it's about that signaling organization, signaling getting your life together, signaling adulthood. You have no debt. I'm fucking pregnant. Okay, I'm literally pregnant. Okay. And that's what we're trying to say here. Everyone has a standard, but I'm not going to lower my standards in the name of fighting the patriarchy. Okay? I'm not going to lower my standards because I need to fight the patriarchy. Fighting the patriarchy is maintaining standards that are based off ethics and morals. And I'm going to do right by my family, friends, my loved ones by setting that standard and keeping it.
Necessarily on personality, but definitely on looks. I've had a lot of guys specifically over the last couple years kind of try to come back and seriously date me. But a lot of the guys that have come back, I'm just being honest, based off societal beauty standards, are less conventionally attractive than they were in the past. And so a lot of these guys would backburn me in the past, but now they're coming back. And as much as I can kind of have confidence.
Yeah, this video is like making me kind of sad. I feel like she's really negative and down on herself. And I feel like her conclusions are just really depressing. And this does not feel empowering to me whatsoever. But I feel like it's a journey. And our girl got, you know, she has to deconstruct a little bit more because like this is not the way that I would think about framing my life. You know what I mean?
It's about it. I know most likely the reason why. It's because I'm a woman who's managed to stay, you know, relatively thin. I'm child free. I've taken care of my physical appearance for being 30, but I'm just simply too average looking to be impressive at 21 or 25 because there are so many attractive people in the dating pool who are single. So this is just a reality that I've had to grapple with. I'm never going to be the hot woman. Not that it so much matters now as I'm getting older, but although I do think that I can dress up and look pretty.
Why is she settling too? Notice that she's like, I won't be the hot woman as I'm getting older. What does getting older and being the hot woman have to do with one another? Why not be the hot older woman? Why not be hot and old? I don't get that. There are a lot of really hot old people out here.
I understand that there are certain benefits that I'm never going to be able to get. I understand that I'm not going to be the caliber of woman
And yeah, Chad says, why does she want to attract these types of men at the bar anyway? Yeah, that's true too. Why do we even want to attract these men?
Physical appearance wise that people will bend over backwards for. I understand that I'm not like my ex where she could just walk into a room and even with social skills going down, that people would find her hot enough that tons of people would consider her worth approaching. Because even with people being more shy, people still consider her worth approaching because she met the caliber to be considered a status symbol for people. And I'm not even saying that that's necessarily what I want, but I'm just being honest about where I know.
Isn't that gross? That's what I'm saying. I would never date somebody because they're a status symbol for me. That's gross. That is gross, right? But that's what I'm saying. Deconstruct this whole bubble so we can actually talk about beauty standards and have fun with it. So we can talk about 1 through 10 and have fun with it. Nowhere in my language when I'm talking about 1 through 10 or beauty standards am I thinking about any of this. All of this is not important to me at all. Like arm candy, judging people by what their partner looks like, deciding, oh my God, not interested.
That I rank. That doesn't mean that tons of people don't find me attractive or pretty, but all I'm trying to say is that I know that I am not the hot woman. I never will be. I have to have a personality, unfortunately, but that is a
boo, bad conclusion. I have to have a personality, I guess. Well, apparently not. You know what I mean? Like even saying like, oh, I'm not pretty, so I have a personality. Ew, boo. I don't like that narrative. That's not good. That's not helpful. Try again. See, we're not deconstructed. That's what I'm saying, girl. No. Now, let me see if I can find this video really fast. I saved it, but I think I might have lost it. Can I pull this one?
People treat you different when your lady's unattractive.
They treat you different?
They treat you, yeah, they
treat the man different?
They judge you based off your lady.
This is a very particular bubble. So once again, know the bubble you're in. He says people treat you different based off what your lady looks like. I believe him. And that's what I'm saying. Get away from these bubbles. Get away from the bubble. That's why I say, what do I tell you? When people say like, oh, let me see what your partner looks like. I go, no. Why? And they go, well, I just want to know if they're attractive. No, like, don't ask me to see my partner to decide. They've never asked me that, by the way. No one's ever asked me that because that's a stupid question to ask me. But I have had my friends say, can you look at this guy and tell me if he's attractive? I'm like, why? What does it matter if I think he's attractive? Do you love him? What does it matter if I think your man is attractive? Do you know what I'm saying? But what they're asking is maybe like, does he look put together? Does he look groomed? Like, does he look like he's got his shit together? And by the way, looks can be deceiving. He can look good outside, but rotten on the inside, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
What you mean?
She's a reflection of you.
Okay.
So if you have an unattractive woman and you say you're in a business setting, right? You bring her around, they're going to look at you like, you don't make good decisions.
Wait. You're saying if you're in a business meeting and your woman comes in and she's unattractive, they think you don't make good. What if she's smart?
Men don't do a lot of business with men who are like.
You ever notice in the conservative bubbles, all of them throw their women around like they're trophies? Even Trump saying his daughter is hot is a status symbol. People always think like, oh, it's because he's perverted. It's also a form of status. Your family being attractive, your kids, your offspring, your siblings being attractive, it ups your level in the hierarchy.
Who that's your thing. Like you have 4, 5s, and 6s around. You can get a lot more opportunities as a man from other men if they know that you're a guy that brings around a nice atmosphere when you're around. Like you're the guy that all the women like.
Yeah.
He's going to get some opportunities based off that.
Dang.
Believe it or not.
Dang.
Yeah. You know those guys in the NBA that sit on the bench? Why you think they still on the bench? They bring something to the table. It's just not what they want to put on the floor.
They bring something to the table, just not something they want to put on the floor. It's interesting. I don't know who these people are. This is Trap House TV. I don't know if this is the original person, but I don't know if this person is a couple or not. Chad is asking. But yeah, like I think in this bubble, everything he's saying is really true. But see, I don't live in that bubble. So go fuck yourself, right? Like with this standard, right? Now, Chad said, I don't want to be approached, but I'm not going to lie. I do want pretty privilege. I don't want for there to be these standards, but they exist regardless. So yeah, I would prefer to benefit from them. Well, I think like the way that I think about it is like, we pick and choose our battles, right? And so we have to, again, introspect our relationship with self, extrospect everything outside of ourself, right? So I introspect how I look and what I want to look like. And then I say, where's the line between Brittany wanting to show up as yourself and Brittany showing up in a social event? And where do those things deviate? And where does it come at the expense of my joy and for the benefit of my goals? So, and I think this, this plays into anything that, the same reason why people ask what you do for a living. I autistically always think people are just asking for fun. Hey, what do you do for a living? But they're actually asking to check status. Usually, hey, what do you do for a living? Oh, you're a doctor. Oh, you're a this. Okay. If just under systems, there's almost no conversation you can have with people without it running into some sort of a standard, right? You take this out and go into unconventional bubbles like underground communities. There's still a hierarchy of beauty. It doesn't even matter if you're goth with 10 like holes in your face and a split tongue. There's a standard of beauty in that bubble. You know what I'm saying? And so like you have to remember that when you decide to say, I'm going to fight against the standard of beauty, whose standard? And can you even escape it? And then can you even escape your own internalized sense of standard? And then can your standard be created in a way that actually is for your joy? I think so. I absolutely think so. I think I absolutely am doing the work and know the difference between what makes Brittany happy and what makes Brittany happy when she plays these roles, because I'm playing a role, and what makes Brittany feel like she's showing up in a way that makes sense. You remember, all these things are connected, but beauty is universal, okay? Aesthetic hierarchies are a universal experience, okay? White people didn't create them. They just benefit from them because they've decided to make themselves the highest of the hierarchy, and somehow we keep playing into it by denying ourselves the ability to also show up. Now, without playing into some toxic bubble about inflating your sense of ego simply because of the way you were born, it should be about meeting some sort of a standard that complements throughout. Finances. This is why I say like being a whole human being is knowing who you are in the story, having a healthy relationship with your finances, your spiritual health, your physical health, and your mental health. All 5 of these create a whole human being. And when you work on all of those things, it's to a healthy, joyful standard. I just think a lot of people aren't as healthy or joyful because they're too busy only being reactionary. If your whole life is in opposition to the patriarchy, you're not living. You're still centering the patriarchy. Girls, my full-time life is not always deconstructing it's always deconstructing, but it's not in opposition to the patriarchy. The patriarchy is this thing that I exist under, but I do not see myself through the lens of at this point in my life, right? Like you wouldn't want, gay people to only see themselves through the lens of homophobia. Yeah, sure. We know homophobia is real and we have to counter that and understand it. But I hope you've deconstructed as a queer person that you do not need to see yourself through the lens of homophobia, that you do not need to internalize homophobia, okay? But that is a journey of deconstruction. And yet, even after that, you can have conversations about what it means to be queer and deconstructing and all these other things, yeah? Okay? And so when we have these conversations again, right? Like there are, whether you like it or not, standards, right? Chet says, I'm too in the artist bubble. Haha, no high standards here. I don't know if you're making a joke, but the artist bubbles are some of the snobbiest bubbles. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like they talk about hierarchy. Hierarchy? Oh my God, hello? Artist bubbles are, oh my God, they're rampant. Rampant. And so again, I'm saying you can't escape it. Even in the sibling dynamics, if you ask the siblings who's a 1 through 10, we could tell you, da-da-da's a 2, da-da-da's a 4, da-da-da's a 5, da-da-da's a 10. Even if you don't want to say you're thinking it, bro, you would have to either have nothing going on, or you would have to just basically, I don't even know what you would have to be like without having the thought in your head of some sort of understanding of standard. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, are we having like 10 different conversations? Like, how is your computer not running in the background and calculating all that data? And if it isn't, then are you even alive, bro? Now there's a difference between being obsessive. There's a difference between it driving you crazy. And there's a difference between you being aware. Being aware is different, okay? We can't on one hand say people should be educated in deconstructing, and then on the other hand be like, I don't even see looks. I don't even see color. I don't even see bodies. I don't even see disability. I don't even see, do you see at all? Okay? So don't do that with beauty the way you wouldn't want to do it with color. Okay? We're not blind to color. We're not blind to beauty. We exist and we exist in harmony. We exist in like a real sense of joy with these things. You know, because but you have to have a balance, right? Chat says neurodivergency might affect your ability to process this or be aware of it. True. And we are all processing, right? Let's see. Chat, I don't know what you mean by this. You said up above, I missed it for a second. Let me scroll a little bit. Would you lower your standards for fighting capitalism, Brittany? I don't know what that means. I don't think I'm fighting. I don't fight systems, girls. Just a reminder, this is a philosophy channel, philosophy through pop culture. I am not fighting capitalism. Right? Like, I'm not fighting patriarchy. You know what I mean? I'm not fighting systems. I'm working towards a world and encouraging a world to dismantle, to deconstruct, to reconsider. But I'm not fighting patriarchy. I don't think of it that way. I think of myself in a constant push and pull with the world more like a dance. You know? More like I'm trying to be in harmony with things, right? Like, yeah, trying to be blind, like trying to fight makes no sense to me. But when we say we're fighting patriarchy, that's more like in the collective, like when you're working through activism. But as an individual, I'm not fighting patriarchy all on my own, right? So unless I'm using that word like fighting patriarchy, right? You said sorry, you wouldn't lower your standards to fight patriarchy. Well, I don't have to lower my standards to fight patriarchy as an activist, right? I don't have to lower my standards to fight capitalism as right? Like, I don't have to, thank you for clarifying. I don't have to lower my personal standards to fight systems, to oppose systems, to argue against systems. My standards don't have to lower as a form of protest. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I think people will say things like, I'm not going to wear makeup because it's a stance against the patriarchy. Cool. Love that. When they say you shouldn't wear makeup as a stance against the patriarchy, it's like, whoa, hold up. Do you think if patriarchy didn't exist, we wouldn't wear makeup? You know, because like, that's not how I think. I think like makeup is makeup, but how you use makeup and when you wear makeup and how you wear makeup, right? So when I think there's the us and then there's the systems. Let me see if I can draw it on paint because I think some people are getting lost. Okay, so first there's you, okay? You. Then there's the world, okay? These are two different things. These are not the same thing, okay? How I exist against patriarchy, how the world exists with patriarchy, different, okay? So I always check in with myself, why I, and then why they, and then why we, okay? So we're always an I, a we, and a they, okay? And these are the categories in which I judge and deconstruct. How do I feel about looking pretty? How do we feel about looking pretty? How do they think about being pretty? These are different things. The I is the most important. The next important is the we, that's your community, and the they is the people outside of your community, strangers, people you don't know necessarily, okay? And this takes a lot of work, okay? So like I understand how I think about bodies because remember, like I come from a very judgmental, very opinionated family that will tell you like, oh, you're too feminine, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that. And some of their advice is really good and some of their advice is really fatphobic and not good, right? So again, the I versus the we, and then the they is the world. And they might say, well, we are concerned about the way you look because of the they. And I'll say, well, I am concerned about the way I look because I want to feel good about myself and I'm aware of the we and I'm thinking about the why. But see how there's a difference between the and because? We are concerned about you because of them. I am concerned about aesthetics because of me and an awareness of them. The language is very important because the difference is very key, at least for an autistic brain like mine, right? It's very different to me. And again, this goes back to decentering men. There was a time in my life when I was younger where I would dress a certain way to get a man's attention, or I would even make sure that I picked a song on the radio that I thought would impress a man so he knew I liked the same music as him. Something like that. Now that I'm older, I don't even think about it. It does not even come into my mind to think about doing that. But when I'm young and you're 19 and 20 and 21 and 22, yeah, like that's, you're conveying, you're signaling, hey, this is the music I like. You might like this music. We could come together. Hey, this is like what I know. It looks good on me. Do you think it looks good on me too? Like this is, I was thinking about dating in like a very different way than as I got older. Then it became like, oh, this is me living my best life. Here's my consciousness. Do you like my consciousness? Regardless of what it looks like, do you like it? And also keeping it in mind. Because look, I'm allosexual. Okay. So for me, like I am physically attracted to people. I notice people, you know what I mean? I know asexual and demi people also notice people. Everyone's on a spectrum, but like the priority of sex might be lower or higher depending. But like, I do notice how people look. I am attracted to people. I am attracted to also the vibe or category of person they're conveying to me, even if they don't match up with it, right? So that is important. Now, maybe that doesn't match with you, right? Maybe your brain works different, but that's also how it plays a role in things. I just feel like if the way you fight systems is to give up, I'm not interested. Talk to somebody else. And that's what it sounds like from a lot of people. It sounds like you're giving up, and I'm not going to do that. But you do you. But if you're telling me I'm not giving up, I'm just having this relationship with it, then okay, what's pretty to you? Oh, I don't see pretty. Girl, you don't see pretty? So you've never in your life said, oh, that's a beautiful flower, or that's your nails are so pretty. So you do see pretty. Okay, let's talk about it. What is pretty? Like, what are we doing here? It's just, again, it feels like we're so afraid of admitting like, yeah, this is pretty, this is not pretty. Again, I think everybody is pretty, but also in what context? In what context, right? In what context? I would never treat somebody bad because of the face they have. You know what I mean? Okay. Chat says, to be fair, I don't really see ugly, or I try not to. I don't know. But why do you try not to see something that might be there? What's wrong with being ugly? Do you know what I mean? Why am I obligated to be beautiful? Why am I not allowed to be ugly? I don't get it. Why am I not allowed to be ugly? Same standard, different. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, people are allowed to be ugly. I'm not obligated to be pretty. I'm not obligated to be beautiful. I'm also not bad for being beautiful or pretty. I'm also not bad for being ugly. So that's the thing is, like, in my world, I don't think there's anything wrong with being ugly. But because of the baggage society places on it, you might think it's wrong. And I agree that society might judge you. So then again, I don't think there's anything wrong with being ugly, though I understand why the world might have a problem with it. And so therefore, I will act accordingly, whatever that means. Okay? But I will not treat you different because you're, quote, ugly. I don't really believe in that. But also, okay? Take any person on the internet you think is ugly, and I will tell you, like, they're not really ugly though, are they? They're not really ugly, but they're just ugly because of their personality, the way they show up. They're not as attractive as other people. But they're not really ugly. Take somebody you really hate. Take like Elon or Trump and tell me in their young days, were they hot or not? Were they pretty? Were they ugly? Take somebody you really don't like and then talk to me about ugliness. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy for you to be like, I don't see pretty or ugly until it's somebody you really don't like. And then the question is, can you place them on a 1 through 10 scale that's not based off of the fact that you hate them? You know? Like, can you really understand where they belong? You know? To me, they're just kind of mid. They're just mid boys, you know? Right? Chad says, I guess I also don't see the lack of beauty as ugliness, so I totally agree with what you're saying. Okay. Chad says the politics of ugliness is the title of Rowan's video. Yeah, I think we've all watched it on our own. It's a very interesting video. I think it is important to watch. You guys should definitely check it out. Yeah. Yeah. Tessa's kind of a silly example, but I just thought of the Sims challenge where you try to breed ugly out of the really ugly Sim. Oh my God, I don't know what that is, but that's hilarious. I mean, I know what the Sims is, but I didn't know that was an idea. That's so funny. That's kind of crazy. Just that some people, whether they are or aren't, still subscribe to it, whereas some people, whether we are or aren't, don't. Like, I've dated plenty of people who other people call ugly. Oh, for sure. I've dated so many people in the past, especially, that people were like, oh, they're kind of ugly, but also they're only kind of ugly because we also hate them. That if they had just done one or two things to tweak things, people would find them less ugly, / if their personality was different, they would find them less ugly. And then there are some people date that are so fucking hot when they first date them, and then they kind of like stop grooming and stop putting effort into anything, and they just kind of like got uglier over the years, but we still love them because they're like beautiful in spirit. Again, ugly, beautiful. It just depends on how we're having all these conversations, which, is fair. And that's why I say know your bubble and you know who you're talking to. But this is why I say I'm grateful every day that I married the person that I married, because it feels like I can have this conversation with them and they know exactly what I mean. And they're so kind and compassionate. And the conversation is really philosophical. It's deeply philosophical. It's not about judging or bringing someone down. It's about like loving somebody. Like, hey, how do my nails look? Are they ugly or not? Do my nails look ugly? I'm not asking you, the internet. I ask my partner, hey, do my nails look ugly? What do you think I'm asking him? Like, what do you think the conversation is asking? Hey, does my hair look ugly today? Hey, does my hair look this? I'm saying, does it look like this aesthetic? And they might say like, it looks kind of ugly, but like, is that what you're going for? And I'm like, I think I'm going for like professional chic, which I'm not. But like, let's say I was. Or I'm not really going for like, I look ugly right now. That's not really the vibe I'm going for. Now, the question is, does anyone ever go for ugly? 100%. Do you know how many times I leave the house on purpose looking ugly? I go, I'm going ugly today. Ugly is the vibe. I want the social consequence of being ugly today. And that's the point too. Like sometimes, like I do it on purpose. Like this is what I'm going to look like today because I want that. That's how I want the world to interact with me today. Okay? Or that's the aesthetic I'm going for. And if you know, you know. Okay? If you know, you know. Which is why I don't judge people for going to Walmart in PJs because I've been there, done that. That's why I don't judge people for going to the store ugly. I get you. Sometimes I've gone to the store with hair dye and a head wrap around. Mind your business. Okay? This is why I don't judge people. Because I don't know what's going on. Okay? I don't know what they're going through. But it must have been worth it to come into public looking that way. And therefore, I don't judge you because I've been there myself. And every time I've done it, it's because, girl, I didn't have the spoons to do anything else. Please move out of my way while I grab my oatmeal. Okay? So anyways, love this convo. Love the TikToks. I think Talia is trolling. Just in case we all forgot what this video was at the beginning. I think Talia is trolling. And if she's not, she's young. Ignore her. Stop treating her like a serious think piece. She's obviously just having way too much fun. And like, I don't like it. I don't approve of it. I don't like her content, but whatever.